On the 2nd of April 2008, at the Federal Executive Council, the Federal Executive Council met and late Yar'Adua terminated the concession. I quote late Yar'Adua: "After considering the report of the administrative panel of inquiry established by the Yar'Adua administration to review the concession agreements and determine the extent of compliance by both parties, the council agreed with its findings that the agreements were largely skewed in favor of the concessionaire to the detriment of the federal government of Nigeria." I have the report here. This is the Inua Magaji report, duly certified by the Ministry of Solid Minerals. It contains documents, facts, and figures, and even pictorial evidences of the vandalization that took place. I am surprised why Nigeria did not present this before the courts in England and rather said we have no proof. How can we have no proof? Why did the Solid Mineral, the minister, Honorable Kayode Fayemi, reconcession Itakpe back to the same people that vandalized it? Because there was no proof. This is the proof. From this report, when I read back, I read from page to page. It is signed here duly by the ex-Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Bello Adoke. I could tell here that Nigeria was clearly winning the case. If you read these rules, Mr. Speaker, I will submit this to kindly to you. You will tell them there was no reason for Nigeria to settle for out-of-court, go for out-of-court settlement. If we had proceeded this diligently, we would have had Ajaokuta and Itakpe back in our hands. Well, they say it's in our hands technically, but for some clauses. Because towards the end, you could clearly state, it states here in 9.2.3, claimants, who is the global infrastructure, because they took us to court, claimants have not demonstrated enough, claimants have not proved enough sufficient evidence that they will suffer irreparable harm. All the points here were claimants have not demonstrated, claimants have not demonstrated. So you may read this. Nigeria was clearly winning. If you recall, the minister, Honorable Kayode Fayemi, said several times that it was the court in London that actually told us to pay that amount, and Nigeria does not have $525 million. Therefore, the only option we have is to give Itakpe back to them to complete their 8 years, complete the 10 years, since they had done 3 years. 6A reads, in light of the fact that a presidential committee had estimated damages payable to Global in the region of $525 million, the agreement of Global to waive its right to damage is a substantial achievement. This shows you that there was a presidential committee that was cooked up, put together, people of like mind promoting a particular interest. And it was that committee that actually indicted Nigeria to the amount of $525 million. It is not the courts in England. I have before me the papers that prove that this company was authorized, the registration of this company was authorized by the governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Yahaya Bello, in partnership with Global Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, the same people. Now they have gotten Itakpe into their hands, and the next target was to acquire Ajaokuta at all costs. So they've devised the means. And going by the certified true copy of the Form CAC7, Form CA7, a company that is supposed to carry the front and the interests of the people of Kogi State, if, well, we know it's a federal asset, but supposing the Federal Republic of Nigeria has given Kogi State the mandate to proceed with ownership, resuscitation, and operations of Ajaokuta, you will all assume that Kogi State should be a major shareholder, isn't it? But what I have here, the two directors of this company, one, Onoche Ikechukwu, he's from Benue State, and Ancheva Emmanuel from the eastern part of Nigeria. And both of them, it will interest you, are affiliates or staff of Global Infrastructure Nigeria Limited. When I spoke with a few people at CAC, I was told there were orders from above. I said, who? They said the Kogi State Governor sent the Commissioner, Idris Asiwaju, and there were pressures from the presidency. I would like to state that I believe President Buhari would not sanction this, but there are many people who lie in the president's name. If the Minister of Finance were to be here, we would have posed a very important question to her, along the lines and reasoning of the speaker. How can we say that Nigeria does not have the financing capabilities to revive Ajaokuta? No, it's not true. We have funds. But I will tell you the easiest of all. Many of us have heard about the Abacha loot, but few of us have actually bothered to find out what amounts to the Abacha loot. This involved the withdrawal in 1996 of $2.5 billion of public funds, $2.5 billion of public funds to settle debts owed to Russia for the construction of the Ajaokuta steel plant, but which in reality had been discounted to only $500 million. I'm going to explain that. In a secretly negotiated debt buyback deal. Local and foreign media reports have speculated that General Abacha may have more than $3 billion stashed away in overseas bank. This was in 1996. May I talk about the debt buyback, sir? By the time the Russians left, in 1994, Nigeria was owing them close to $1 billion because long before the change in administration actually affected the funding. It would also interest this House to know that 3 years before TPE, which is the original builders, left the country, every month for 3 years, they were writing memos to the Ministry of Mines and Steel, or however it was called then. Not one letter was responded. 3 years, from 1991 to 1994, there was a status report telling them that, look, we are nearly completing the plant, but we cannot complete the 2% because we need the infrastructure set up. Because once the 2%, which is largely the blast furnace, once it's ignited, the blast furnace is to run for 18-25 years non-stop. At that time, they even proposed the dredging of River Niger. But not one letter was responded to, and they had to leave. It was a sad experience, they had to leave.